Hey everyone, Kevin here. I've been getting a lot of questions about why would Shake Shack give $10 million of forgivable loan money back to the Small Business Administration, to the government. Why would they give that money away? If they have $10 million of forgivable money, why wouldn't they use it? And instead, why did they turn around and just issue more shares of their stock, basically diluting the value of their company to raise their own money instead of using forgivable money? It doesn't make sense. Is it just a clever PR stunt to say, hey, we're Shake Shack, and you know what? There are a lot of small businesses out there that need money, so we're gonna put our 10 million back in the pool just so, everybody else has a bite at the apple, and, 10 million divided by 100,000. Hey, you know what? That could give 100 small businesses money. We'll just raise money in the stock market ourselves, and cool. I mean, that sounds nice. That might be why their stock is up 5%. But it's not the real reason they decided to give back $10 million of forgivable money. Let me go through exactly why they give the money back. And this is just my opinion, so don't sue me, bro, but I'm really familiar with the PPP program. I've read every word about this. I've read loan agreements on this, and I've made many videos about this. So hear this out, and I think you'll end up agreeing with me. Let me first say I don't own any Shake Shack shares. I don't plan on buying any. I don't really care if it's a PR move or if it's because of what I said or it's a combination. None of that stuff really matters to me. But what I can tell you is Shake Shack has 8,000 employees. And when this crisis broke out, they laid off 2,000 of those employees. And they have 189 locations. These numbers are going to be very important because they matter when you think about the Paycheck Protection Program. Remember, we keep hearing Paycheck Protection Program. This is great. That means people can keep working and they get paid and the business doesn't have to pay money back. It's forgivable. Great. That sounds wonderful, but unfortunately, the devil is in the details. Here are exactly those details. First, take $10 million and divide it by 189 locations. That gives each location for this company $52,910. Each Shake Shack location has about 48 employees on average. So if we divide that by 48 employees, we get $1,100 of potential paycheck protection per employee. And this is supposed to last for an 8-week period. So let's divide that by 8 weeks, and we get $137 of paycheck protection per employee. In other words, the employees would get paid 4 times as much in free money if they just stayed on unemployment and collected the federal $600 per week. So the amount of funding doesn't line up here, and it certainly doesn't merit Shake Shack calling up the employees saying, hey, come back, we got 8 weeks worth of work for you, when the funding they're getting really only covers $137 per employee per week. In other words, Shake Shack would have to make up the additional amount of money. But that also implies that Shake Shack is somehow ready to open every single location and get back to full production, which they're not. Nobody is. A lot of us are still closed down and locked up in quarantine. But as soon as you take that $10 million from the Paycheck Protection Program, you immediately start an 8-week clock. In other words, you have 8 weeks to spend that $10 million. But what happens after those 8 weeks? That's it. Once you take your first round of PPP money and you get 8 weeks worth of funding, you're done, usually for the rest of the year. In fact, PPP contracts that I've read have said once you take PPP money once, you can't take it again for the rest of 2020. So all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, a lot of us are still on lockdown. Shake Shack gets $10 million or $137 per employee for 8 weeks. But again, most of us are on quarantine. We're getting paid more money in unemployment. And wait, here's the kicker. This is supposed to be a free $10 million, but wait a minute. What are the conditions for that money actually being forgivable? Well, here they are. Let's say Shake Shack said, you know what, we'll take the $137 per employee. We'll try to bring back as many people as we can. What are the conditions to actually have this $10 million be forgivable? Well, the $10 million is forgivable if you maintain your employee headcount. But remember how I said Shake Shack laid off 2,000 employees when this all started? That's 25% of their workforce is gone. So they now gotta pick up the phone and call back 2,000 people and go, all right, everybody come back to work. Even though we've only got 1/4 of the money that you're making on unemployment to give you. Come back to work, at least for the next 8 weeks until this money dries up again and then we have to lay you off again. But that part we already know. The nasty rule is you only have until June 30th to rehire all of the people you laid off, which means if you take money today on 4/20, April 20th, you have 70 days to get all the people back at work that you laid off, which remember, you're playing a tug of war here. People are on unemployment collecting $600 a week, doing nothing from the federal government for 13 weeks. Numbers aren't lining up. And so this is where things get nasty. If you don't rehire all of the people you laid off to maintain your head count, there's a very complicated and fancy, and probably not fancy, probably just disastrous algorithm or formula that says, okay, the amount of your $10 million that will be forgiven will be reduced by a ratio of how many people you do not rehire. And if you don't properly track every single dollar the way you spend it, then that money won't be forgiven either. Which you think, I mean, come on, Kevin, that's easy. Just whatever payroll is paid is forgiven. That's not that easy. See, payroll costs for a company usually include their pay, state taxes, local taxes, and federal taxes. Well, guess what? Pay and state and local taxes are forgivable, but federal taxes are not forgivable. So now you have to account for all this crap. But here's where it gets even nastier. Imagine this. 8 weeks go by, and now Shake Shack has to figure out how to float all these people's wages they just rehired. The PPP money is gone because you have to spend it all within 8 weeks, even though it's barely a drop in the bucket for what they really need. So they take the $10 million hypothetically here. They didn't, they gave the money back, but let's say they take the $10 million. They go through this 8-week period, and then the SBA says, you know what? Yeah, you've applied for forgiveness, but you didn't rehire enough people. And according to our crystal ball here, our fancy algorithm, we're only going to forgive half of your loan. Let's play that scenario. Half of their loan gets forgiven, just as an example to see what would happen. If half of the forgivable loan was forgiven, then Shake Shack just took out a $5 million loan at 1% interest, which doesn't seem that bad, right? I mean, it's a loan at 1% interest. That's a pretty cheap loan, which, okay, that doesn't seem so horrible. I guess you have to pay it back. How do you pay it back? It's only 1% interest. Well, you have to repay it back within 2 years of you taking the loan. So let's say you defer your payments for the first year, which you could do, and now payments begin 1 year after you take the money. That year, you would be paying this back in equal payments of $421,000 per month. This is not like a 30-year mortgage, where if you got a 30-year mortgage for 1%, it's like, yeah, we'll keep this, no problem, we'll repay this over 30 years. If this was a 30-year mortgage, you would have to repay this $5 million loan with payments of just $18,000 per month. $421,000 per month because it's a 1-year payback period. And again, you're only supporting your business for 8 weeks. The PPP is a fundamentally flawed program. The CEO and Shake Shack are 100% right not to take this money. The money is a death trap. I am so confident there are going to be a lot of people who take this forgivable loan and they end up getting screwed because they didn't realize what was going to be forgivable and what wasn't, or money got commingled or wasn't accounted for properly. And it's like, yeah, all these things are solvable, but it's so complicated. It's such a headache. And it's for 8 weeks, and now you have to have these requirements that you have to bring people back, but you don't necessarily have work for them. It's dumb. The strings attached to the PPP are moronic. And so here we go. Congress can't even do the vote that they were planning on having today, Monday the 20th, to extend funding for the PPP. But in all reality, the PPP kind of sucks. And look, I'm not trying to take away from the people who've taken PPP money, and I'm not mad. Look, I know there's a lot of drama over Ruth Chris taking the $20 million, and I know a lot of small businesses are extremely grateful that they have this emergency lifeline. I get it. I'm not mad at you. It's totally fine. Like, take it. It can be a forgivable loan. It can be free money. But as long as all the things I said in this video are things you think to yourself like, okay, I can solve that. Good, take the money, then fine, it's free money, keep your business open. But this is a lot of crap. So Shake Shack going on CNN going, oh, you know, we want to give the money back because we want to give other small businesses the opportunity to use the money. Come on, nice PR line, but let's be real here. The PPP is massively flawed, and hopefully this brings some light to that issue. If you like this kind of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button. According to my analytics, only 29% of you have actually hit the subscribe button, so make sure you hit the subscribe button, be a part of the cool kids, and subscribe to the channel. Check out the links down below for free stocks with Webull when you deposit $100, life insurance, and of course, join my programs on money and investing. Thanks so much, and until next time.